What's going on, everybody? Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. Y'all forgive my cough. Something in the weather probably getting me, even though it's a little warm out. I know the fall is coming. So we're going to get ready to have our Titans. We're about to have a fan meeting because we all need to talk. We need to talk, and there's a lot of things that I think we all need to, that I need to get off my chest, that I think y'all may want to get off your chest, and we got to figure some things out about this football team. So it's some time to come to Jesus, and that's what we're going to do tonight. So we're finna have a meeting, and we need everybody to get on in here, file on in here, so that we can all have this discussion together and figure out some things about this football team. As y'all see, some of the main culprits on there, J-Rob and Mike Vrabel. And then we are going to get into the Raiders a little bit as well. So everybody get in here, share this show out, share it out to everybody. Tell them to come on in here. Tell all these fans come on in here because it's meeting time. And we're going to go ahead and get started, getting ready in 60 seconds. Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody? What's going on, everybody? Titan Nation, how's everybody doing? Welcome in to the TNT tonight, and welcome to our Titans fan only meeting that we need to have, because y'all, we need to talk. We need to talk. And we are going to have this conversation together. And we got to figure out some things for this football team. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and first make sure y'all share this show out. Make sure y'all share it out all over on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You got the TNT Enforcers page on Facebook, on Instagram at Titans_N_truth, on Twitter at TNT Blue Enforcer. Also, super chats are appreciated. I know there was one that came through. I will be acknowledging that in just a brief second. But as we get ready to get started, hopefully everybody's doing good. And we're going to bring in our special guest to join us in this meeting and help bring this meeting to order. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you from the 615 podcast, my guy, Mr. Lee Hillis. Lee, how you doing, sir? Good evening to you.
Wish this was under better circumstances.
I definitely do agree with that. And definitely make sure I hit that like button. And definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But yeah, I definitely wish this show was under more happier moments. But we got work to do. We got stuff to talk about. We got work to do. Derek Roberts with the super chat. Thank you for that. Says, thank you for ripping off the Band-Aid. Thank you for ripping the Band-Aid off. Wish you had a call line. That might be something that might happen in the future. That could be. I might put that in the works. I think that's something that could definitely happen. So Derek, man, appreciate the super chat. Appreciate all your support. Hopefully everybody is doing all right. And let's see. So I know we got some people on. Titan Fox says, well, I got a jersey. So yeah, that's acceptable. Titan Pratt, what's up? Derek Robinson said the rant will be epic. I don't know if it's gonna be a rant, but we definitely gonna talk. I see we got Miss Mims, we got DO9, Amy is in here. And Amy, make sure you get out to your fellow female Titan fans in here too. So we can get everybody here. Titan Hugo, Shane is in here. IMS Roadside is in here. Yes, sir. Welcome in. Let's see. We got everybody in here. So we got Ian. He says, I'm in the building. Steve Crosio. Y'all make sure I hit that like button. And we are going to go ahead and get into this conversation. So, first and foremost, we're going to give our final. Let's give the, before we really get into this meeting, and at 6:06 p.m., we call this Titans fan meeting to order. The Honorable Blue Enforcer at 615 Pod residing. And I'm just going to have to hurt everybody already with this. I think we all remember this. None of us wants to remember it, but we might as well. The blowout that nearly killed us all. 41-7. It hurt. It stinks. And there was so much wrong with this game. So, I'm just going to leave this up here for a minute because this is leading into the meeting that we're having right now. The fact of the matter is, I want this vision in everybody's brain. 41-7, that they got destroyed that way. And I am not doing this to torture everybody. I am not doing this to hurt anybody. Ian says, I'll calm down a bit since Monday Night Football, but if we lose to the Raiders or the Colts, then we're in serious trouble. And we're going to get into that. And thank you for the super chat, Ian. I definitely appreciate that. But the fact of the matter is this. I'm going to go ahead and take this down because I know this is giving y'all a lot of pain. Fall to 0-2. And it's not the fact that we're 0-2. It's how we got to 0-2. Because, as a lot of people have said, this was embarrassing. And as DO9 mentioned, Amy saying boo. Type Fox said it was necessary to see where our flaws are. Miss Mims was so mad she turned it off. I get it. And then he says, how long are we going to, how long is it going to be until we blame the real problem? Now, Lee, I'm going to let you come in on this. I was doing the live stream, and to be perfectly honest, I had to party to keep from being mad because I put out a post on Facebook and on Twitter, and I basically said, hey, I'm good. I'm not mad. I'm okay. And I know there were some people who commented on there, saying that they were mad and everything. Don't get me wrong. I was very disappointed. But I figured, where I'm at a party, you might as well turn up and have a good time anyway, despite the horrible, horrific display we were witnessing. Power Hour says, I lived through the 59-0 loss. This was meant to me. So, my first question to you, Lee, and we'll get to the comments as we go along. How were you feeling watching this game? And now looking back on it, having a couple of days to kind of digest, what were your thoughts watching this game?
Well, of course, to start off that night, just seeing that final score, 41-7, I'm like, how? How do we lose that bad? Like, yeah, the Bills are a good team, don't get me wrong. But we should have been at least competitive with these guys.
Absolutely.
So
And
so
makes
that
you wonder.
night, so as I said, that night I went to bed mad.
I
Woke up the
get
next morning. Woke up the next morning. Still somewhat didn't want to talk to anybody. But now that I look back at the problems we had, I'm like, okay. And what I'm fixing to say goes back to when I was in high school. After a loss, I give myself 24 to 36 hours. 24 to 36 hours to sit and just ponder on it. But then I'm like, okay, after the 24 to 36 hours is up, I'm like, okay, on to the next week.
yeah. And I like the sound of that. And it's like we're gonna have to move on. And it made me ask the question to myself. I understand the Bills are really good. They put it on full display. They were like a well-oiled machine.
Oh, and the Bills are not only not they're not the only good team in the league right now. The Miami Dolphins are also.
Speed Demon. That's going to be a fun matchup next week, this Sunday.
If you would have told me that the Miami Dolphins were going to be 2-0 2 weeks in, I would have told you were crazy.
I agree. But you notice the Dolphins figured out what to do. Surround Tua with real weapons. And he has not one, but two speed demons on the outside.
And Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill.
The cheetah and the penguin.
The cheetah and the penguin.
And they work well together. So
They
it
they
made me
comp,
ask the question to myself.
they complement each other very well.
Yes. The question is, are the Bills really that good? Or are the Titans really that bad?
Ooh. Well, if you look up to this point, Ryan, week one, played a pretty good game. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. But when he had to face a true defense like he did Monday night, you really see what this offense is made of.
I agree.
And
And
I truly think this offense, if you look back to what was it, 2019, 2020 season or 2020, 2021, we were a top 3 offense.
yes,
And
we
then
were.
2021, Todd Downing took over. We went from top 3 to 15th in the league.
And it is
And
definitely,
right now we're right around 27th in the league offensively.
yeah. And we're
So you
32nd against the run defensively when we were number 2 in the
last
league
year.
last year.
So
And that's
you see
telling me
the
we're
Todd
really
Downing
that bad.
effect. You see the Todd Downing effect offensively.
And I think it's pouring into the defense too.
And as me and you talked yesterday, and we said, doesn't this have the effect of like a Terry Robisky?
Does it not? It is very, very similar to that. And I'm going to get to some of y'all comments. Vrabel Special beating top teams and losing against bad teams officially over. Now, we got to see if he can start beating some bad teams. We'll definitely have to see. Alex Mann says, word on the wand. Right now, they're still trying to get further evaluation. They claim, well, from what I've heard, that he's walking around, no crutches, no
No
brace,
brace.
but we still don't know.
Well, there is something I did read um, from Buck Rising yesterday afternoon.
Right.
They were talking like he would be out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and then he came back and said, they're still doing further evaluation. And they haven't made it definitive yet, but the initial thought was that he's going to be lost for the year. Ty Fox says, ask a professional plumber or electrician to give you a fix for something broken. They'll tell you they need to find out what the problem is first. We did that. Well, that is going to lead into the next point that we're going to go into. I'm going to read some more comments. And that is, we got to figure out a solution to the problem. We fought 0-4. I hope we just take it that point. They will fire Todd Downing after the season, and this team will get killed in the playoffs if we do make it, from Cole Chatterton. I mean, I am sensing a lot of down in the Titans. I do think Lawan is done.
Yes.
And, looking healthy and actually being healthy are two different things. This man's giving you a shout out as well. And got to rip out the floorboards, dig out the rot. I agree. And so and a lot of people say we are really that bad. Sherrod Butler said that bad. Hugo that bad. I mean, I think everybody is saying we're that bad. The Bills are really good. AT says they're solid. Bills are solid. This Bills is like how we lost to Jets and Giants. Of course, we lost to the Jets last year. MH, VACR, mismanagement of the draft and free agents. And I mean, that is something that we're definitely going to have to talk about. And I think I owe everybody an apology. I think I was, during the live stream, more of a John Robinson apologist. And I would like to say I'm sorry about that. Because I had to go back and really think about things. And as I will give credit for J-Rob and Vrabel getting us out of the funk that we were in during the Ken Whisenhunt era. And Mike Mularkey started it and built it up. And Vrabel took it over. But J-Rob has made some mistakes.
Big mistakes.
Major mistakes.
If we go back and look at his past drafts, Isaiah Wilson didn't play a single snap for the Titans on offensive line.
Well, not offensively.
Special teams he did, but offensively, with the position he was drafted to play, no, he did not. No. And now looking at Caleb Farley, could Caleb Farley be a bust?
I mean, right now it's not looking too hot for him either. And I think he needs time, but unfortunately, the way that things are going, time is not exactly on our side right now. And
time's not your friend.
And this tells me, and so we're going to go ahead and get off of the Bills game because I know that's depressing to everybody because there was a lot of things that went wrong. And I'm going to quickly go to the good, the bad, and the awful, and then I'm going to give my mission statement for this meeting. The good. The good.
There was nothing good.
The good. The answer is nothing. There was really nothing good that came out of this game. And there's been a lot of mistakes that have been made in this game. The line did not look particularly well. Nobody looked good. I mean, the first drive, and I'll give it to Zarice. Zarice is right. The first drive. After that, not really much else. Sherrod said the punter was good. Henry didn't get hurt. Traylon Burks stat games for the amount of snaps was given. I appreciate some of y'all having some optimism. I mean, some optimism. Not very much. I mean, we don't have very much optimism, but I can appreciate that. However, it wasn't a lot of good to go on, y'all. The bad has to be the defense because this defense has completely fallen off. Now, a lot of it is Landry being out, but Dupree got hurt midway through the second quarter with a hip. I believe he was limited today, which we'll get to the injury report later in the show. You have Christian Fulton's out, Farley struggling. Zach Cunningham, my goodness, has done a complete 180. Derrick Henry, and I know this is going to be an insult to everybody, but doesn't it look like Derrick Henry looks a step slow? I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm just saying, doesn't he look just a tad slow? Just a little bit. Lee?
Derek, I think, and I think I've said this before, I think Derek is scared to go 100%.
Maybe not trusting that foot completely.
Exactly. Just go back and look at that playoff game. He looks the same. He looked the same way in that playoff game that he has in weeks 1 and week 2.
Yeah. Now I'm going to provide a little bit of positivity on Derek. Derek does tend to be a slow starter in the beginning of the year.
And then he just starts.
And then he just turns it on later in the year. Hopefully we have a chance to do that. And Ty Fox said, I think both drives were designed by Tim Kelly. And then Downing took over and, well, everything else went to crap.
Well, that I think I can agree with the first 2 drives being designed by Tim Kelly, because Tim Kelly is a proven offensive coordinator, and he's proved what he can do in this league. Like
right.
if y'all just go look at the show I did with Titans Rossi talking about Tim Kelly back in, I want to say it was February, I literally laid out everything for you on Tim Kelly. Tim Kelly has a huge background going back to his time at Penn State with then Penn State head coach Bill O'Brien. Followed Bill O'Brien to Houston. Started off as like a quality control person, then was, I think it was like 2019, became the offensive coordinator. But in 2019, he was not calling the plays. Bill O'Brien was.
Right. And
then 2020 till this last season, he was the offensive coordinator calling all the plays, everything. You saw how efficient that offense looked. You could get those big explosive plays. Just go back and look at that final game when Houston almost made that comeback to beat us. And look at Brandon Cooks, how explosive he was. Look at how explosive Davis Mills was under Tim Kelly.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. And those are some definite facts on that. And, I see a lot of people commenting, telling Yo Kick saying, rebuild time. Ian says, we reversed the offense. Now we can score first drives, but can't make adjustments in the game like last year. Let's see, Derek Roberts says, Dupree 2 steps slow, lost 2 steps, Fulton practice today. That's a positive. It was more of a walkthrough today. Yes. But he was limited, so I mean that is a good thing. John the Ripper says Henry looks too big, has to lose a little weight. I mean, honestly,
He weighed in. Derek weighed in at 260.
and that might be muscle. Let's see. Ian said, I'm not blaming Henry. Our O-line is atrocious. Now,
Exactly.
I want to
Yes.
get into that part because there are some who are saying, yes, Henry does look a bit slow, like Derek saying, he looks a bit slow. Hard for him to trust the line. Looks like he's easier to bring down from Titan Hugo. Looks like he ain't the same since he came back from the injury from Amy. But there are others who are saying the offensive line, like DO9 is saying that. And, that is very true.
Go back to that comment by Derek that you were showing. I think is what it was. Let me see if I can find it over here.
Let's see. Don't think he's had a chance to go yet. Every time he gets the ball, there's two people there in the backfield. Looks easier to bring down. But I'm going to say this.
And
I think Derrick Henry will still get it going.
Yes.
And I think the offensive line is the bigger issue than Derrick Henry. I will say that. I think Derrick Henry is the bigger issue. I mean, not Derrick Henry. The offensive line is the bigger issue.
Derek made an interesting comment. Derek had made an interesting comment. Running back age. Derek didn't get to start until his third year in the league.
Right.
So he doesn't have the typical age on him that most running backs that come right out of the gate and start have. Because he was splitting reps like guys like Dion Lewis and DeMarco Murray.
Mm-hmm.
So Derek doesn't have that typical running back age on him.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. And again, that leads to my awful. Derek still has time. And I think because I've always said it, Derrick Henry is an alien. He is built differently. He's going to figure it out. I think Derrick Henry will be fine. The awful, though, which is a lot, we got to start with the offensive line. The offensive line is absolutely pathetic. And we're going to quickly go down the line. Lawan wasn't really doing all that great before he got hurt, even though he got hurt in the first play.
And then, there's something I do agree with that was said earlier. This is it for Lawan.
I agree with that as well.
And I'm thinking, do not be surprised if he retires after this season.
And Shane, thank you for the super chat. And I agree with that too. I think no matter what happens, I think this is it for Taylor Lewan. I do. I think he's done as a Titan after this season. I do agree with that. And when he goes out, Dennis Daly comes in and was just god awful.
Atrocious.
I mean, was an absolute atrocity. And he, there was a stat that came out, and I can't remember exactly what it said, but I think PFF gave like a grade of like 18 for Dennis Daly. And that in the entire Giants game, I think the Titans gave up like 4 pressures combined. Dennis Daly gave up 6 pressures by himself and a quarterback hit.
In the Buffalo game.
He looked like he was on skates from the word go and just stunk it up. Aaron Brewer looks like he is in over his head. He's too small. When, J-Rob says, oh, he's tougher than a $2 steak. Well, a $2 steak ain't exactly that much. Mm-hmm. If you're looking for a real steak, that's like a $25, $30 steak, a porterhouse, a big T-bone, ribeye.
Or a cowboy steak.
Heck, little hamburger chopsteaks are bigger than $2 steaks. So, you know, he's in over his head. Ben Jones, I think he's coming to the end. I think it's just he's slowing down a bit too, although Ben Jones is still pretty reliable. Nate Davis hasn't exactly had a good start to the season, but I still think he's a capable guard.
Yep.
And Nicholas Petit-Ferrer is a rookie. He's going to have his growing pains. And, this was going to be his first real test against a real defensive
Pass
line.
rusher.
And we're going to talk about this later. It gets no easier next week. And so Shane with the super chat, he said, before we go on, we should rebuild. We haven't won a home opener since 2010. We lost to the best team in football Monday. We can win the next 3 games. I like the confidence. The game plan after the first drive was bad. I mean, some of the formations was just horrible. Some bad penalties, messed up some drives that could have been going. Ben Jones had a big penalty and things like that. So I just didn't like the game plan. Starters getting pulled in the middle of the third quarter. But I guess that's waving a white flag. Caleb Farley, he's got work to do. He's got work
Yes, he does.
He's got some learning to do because he has not looked good so far. And I agree with this. The awful, and I didn't even think about this, ditch the pitch. A to Z Sports came up with that. I think somebody else did too. Ditch the toss play. It has never worked. It has not worked. It never will work. So they need to stop that. And I appreciate everybody being here. We got almost 50 in here. See if we can spread and get to 60. Definitely appreciate everybody being in here. I'm trying to get to all of y'all comments because I know some of y'all, they're flying in here. So I apologize if I can't get to everybody. I know Akeem is feeling good about this. The bad is why is Todd Downing always taking over Coach Vrabel's job? Vrabel is the head coach, Ms. Mims. Vrabel is the head coach.
And
he oversees everything.
Yes.
He's allowing this to happen. So, let's see. Zari says, keep in mind, more than likely, Ben Jones is out after this year. Also, depending on how terrible we are, how many people Simmons will want to resign. I think Simmons will resign. Although I said that about A.J. Brown last year, we see what happened.
He went bye-bye. But as I was saying, we have, as you said, a lot of big games coming up. But I was most of y'all know that last week I had Jill Jelnick on the show last week. And I'd asked him, like, what is the loss of Harold Landry? Is that a big reason that we've lost games? And she's like, I don't think so. She's like, I don't think so. It's not just one player. It's the whole unit. If you want to win games, you need this whole unit to wake up.
I agree. My guy Brandon here. We need to use Henry as a decoy. First drive looked good, then it goes flat. I agree. This one is funny. I like this one. MHVACR. They need to call Jack Rabbit. And Jack Rabbit was tweeting, saying, hey, for $3 million, I'll come back. I don't think they'll pay that much for him.
I'm going to say, I don't think that would be a bad idea because of how bad our corners look.
Exactly. Like Mark Summer said, Avery, I'm like, why in the world do you have Trey Avery and Chris Jackson on Stephon Diggs? And I would rather take my chances with like a McCreary. Hell, I'll even go Farley, even though on one play on that fourth down, Farley looked completely lost. He was on him, and if Stephon goes this way, he goes this way.
And
I guess the coverage was man. He thought it was zone and just left them wide open.
I'm going to say
I
this
get
is
that they're
nice.
only winning 3 games this year, and
And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this as nice as I can. We've crapped the bed in the first 2 games, especially against the Buffalo Bills.
oh, and that leads to the moment of truth. You perfectly said it, and it leads right to that. So everybody, here is a dose of reality that we're going to start with. So now we're really going to have this conversation. And like Derek Roberts says, I want 50 likes too. Every last one of y'all that's in here, like it. Here is the thing. The Tennessee Titans suck right now. Let me say that one more time. The Tennessee Titans suck right now. They are terrible. They are horrible. They stink in every facet of the game. Offense, defense, special teams return-wise, punt return, and coaching. All of it stinks. They all suck. And I know some of y'all are not going to like hearing that, but you got to face the facts. Face reality. Now, I am not saying that they cannot turn this around. I think overall, this is a very good football team. The problem is they are not good right now. They stink right now. They look like one of the worst teams in the league at this moment. Again, I'm not saying they can't fix it. I'm not saying they can't turn around and get it right. Which the next 2 games are going to be very telling. But right now, they suck. Vrabel has come out, and I know a lot of y'all have wanted Downing gone. A lot of y'all want change. Even Tyreekis from Rated R Titan Fan started a petition, and it got put on the news about wanting Downing gone.
And it's got like 1,200 signatures already.
Over 1,200, almost 1,200 signatures. And that was as of, I believe, Sunday. Or no, as of Monday. 1,200 signatures. Tuesday. I too have signed it.
And I've said this before, I'll say it again. I could probably call a better game than Todd Downing.
I think a lot of us can.
Like I was in your live. When was it? It was right after the Giants game, which I think was last Wednesday. I want to say last Tuesday or last Wednesday. I would have literally called something different other than that end around to Chig right there on 3rd down and 1.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. You know, and I see now Ms. Business saying some fans have had enough with this losing streak in this league 0-2. Been a fan for 7 years. This is the first time we're losing at home back to back. Well, we hadn't lost back to back at home yet. Well, we just lost 2 in a row, and this is the first time I believe since 2014.
This
we
is
started
the first,
off 0-2, and that year we finished 6-10.
2012.
2012. Thank you. I knew it was one of those.
And those 2 games, the first one was the Patriots.
Yeah. And Shane saying, I gotta say this. I really like Burks, McCreary, and Petit Ferrer have potential to be good. And I agree. I do like they are promising.
And McCreary, I did not have him anywhere in my draft breakdowns by position. but I had his teammate.
I
I
wasn't
had
even looking at corners.
I I was in the DBs. I had Smoke Monday, his teammate at Auburn.
Oh yeah.
I really, really, really liked Smoke Monday going into this
The
draft.
name itself sounds great. Sounds great. And so again, we suck. The problem is we all know everybody knows change needs to be made.
Exactly.
All the media is probably saying fire Todd Downing. We're saying fire Todd Downing.
But Vrabel
But
and
Austin of A to Z Sports brought this up. They were like, I think Zach told him, he was like, this play doesn't work or anything like that. Does Vrabel know that?
and can I quote something that you sent to me?
All right.
This was from Monday night, right after the game. And I literally sent to you, I was like, fire Todd Downing, Shane Bowen, and Mike Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all out of frustration. And you came and said, it's getting loud. Downing's got to go. But I'm scared Vrabel is too stubborn and egotistical to do it.
Exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth. And that's the problem. So everybody, all of y'all want Downing out. The only problem is the main person that should do that will not.
Because
He's already come out and said
his ego's too big.
he thinks he knows everything. He thinks he knows all, and we know nothing about football or about this team. Teron, in the press conference, I believe on Tuesday, asked him the question, and I don't have this clip. He asked him about the play calling and everything because, Teron, John Glennon, they hear it from us. They hear it from the fans. They want Downing out. And Vrabel knows that.
Anybody in the national media hears it from us.
Yes.
And let me give you some examples. Kayla Anderson, she knows it. She knows that us as Titans fans and us as small-time content creators, we want Downing out.
Yeah, and because of reasons like this, Titan Fox just brought it up. That one formation is the perfect reason to fire him. You have an empty set. You got Henry out wide on one side, Torrey Carter out wide on the other side. And then you have Burks, Hooper, and Swain. What kind of formation is that?
And the formation that I would have ran, which you already know, it's white right gun. The R in that tells you what end aligns your tight end up on. X jet, and in this situation, I would put Kyle Phillips as your X.
Right. I don't know why Phillips was never in the game. And so
then of course the back end of it is 646 flood, which in this play you would have your two outside receivers, your 1 and 2 on a 9 route, if you want to get technical with it.
Right.
Which is a go route. And then, but you could mix in a little switch up in this play where you could go put Chig in as your Y receiver,
and
have him either on a seam or a post. Those are his. It's basically an option route. And then have Phillips come off that jet and into a bench route underneath.
Loving some of these comments. I love some of these comments.
But
and we're going to definitely talk about that. But yes, Todd Downing should go, but Vrabel's not going to do it, y'all. So don't hold your breath. Vrabel, just like Lee said, he quoted me because I did say that Vrabel is too stubborn and egotistical to do anything about it. And we were talking about this last night. It feels exactly like Mike Mularkey
and Terry Robisky.
Do y'all remember that whole situation? We were all talking about how archaic and how
Yep.
prehistoric and how pre-World War One, World War II our offense was. I mean, dinosaur type offense. And
But
we all want Robisky out.
I sort
And
of got I sort of like that offense because it was smash mouth.
it was
Basically,
better
run
than
it.
this.
It was like you run it until they stop you. And if they start loading the line and start loading the box, then you go over their head.
It's better than this. And
And
D09, we've been
I was
saying that for the longest.
I was going to say D09 hit it around the head, pass to set up the run.
And they won't do it.
And if I was the offensive coordinator, that would not happen.
Yeah. Use the pass to set up the run. And that's exactly what happened in that situation. John Robinson went to Malarkey and said, hey, we want to bring you back, but you got to get rid of your offensive coordinator, get a new one.
And he said, no,
Malarkey
thank
said
you.
no. He went on publicly and said he was not going to make any changes. 2 days later, what happened?
Bye-bye,
Breaking
Malarkey.
news. The Tennessee Titans and Mike Malarkey have parted ways, which we know that meant Malarkey got fired.
He got canned.
He got canned. He took the fall for his boy. And I have a feeling Vrabel is heading down the same road because J-Rob ain't stupid. As bad of some mistakes he's made,
now,
he ain't going to let Vrabel cost him his job.
I'm going to say this right now. Don't be surprised. And we were taught this last night. Yes, Vrabel got a 5-year extension, but don't be surprised if Vrabel's fired at the end of the year.
That is a hot take. That is a hot take. And it's not a bad one either. It is not a bad one either. And I think some people can agree.
If John goes to Mike and says, fire Todd, I guarantee you that Vrabel's going to tell him the same thing Malarkey did.
Right.
No, I will not.
And I think J-Rob will be like, from now on, we're getting an offensive mind.
And that's where I would come in at.
Again, this is another moment of truth. The Titans suck right now at this moment.
And it's because of Todd
too stubborn and egotistical to make a move at this moment. We don't know how bad it's going to get. The next 2 games are against the Raiders and the Colts. The question is,
Colts have a good defense.
And the Raiders have a good offense and a good defensive line. So how bad does it actually have to get? If you lose those 2 games, I might be looking at draft picks.
I've told someone before, if Ryan is struggling going into the bye week, you have to make a change.
Now that I agree. The bye week does come early.
And I've said it and I'll say it again. And you've said it also. I don't think that Malik's ready.
He's not. He's not ready yet.
But was he battle tested Monday night? Yes, he was.
He got some time in there. And that will actually help him. So going on with this meeting. And like I said, I'm going to get to y'all comments as much as I can. I try to show them so I acknowledge them. Ian says, if Vrabel's gone, J-Rob got to go too. True.
Actually, I mentioned this to you last night when we were talking. Since J-Rob's been here, heading into this year, we've had 6 straight winning seasons. But has J-Rob made some very questionable choices?
Absolutely.
No doubt. Like trading A.J. Brown.
What did I say?
How bad is this biting us in the rear end right now?
Zach Bingham of A to Z Sports brought that up. He was listening to Colin Cowherd and was talking about A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown has 15 catches, like 260 yards. He has more catches and yards than all of our receiving corps combined. And this trade has affected 2 football teams. It's good for Philly.
It's made the Eagles better. It's made the Eagles better.
And we got really nothing for him.
But let's just look at his stats in the first 2 games. 10 catches, 155 yards.
Yep.
At Detroit. And then last weekend against Minnesota, 5 for 69.
Which may not look like great on paper, but they're getting the ball to him.
That's something that Tannehill never did. That's why he did not want to be here. He wasn't getting his touches.
What have I always said? Throw the man the damn ball. It is not difficult. It is not difficult. So I really do think there is some coaching malpractice going on.
And I'm going to say this. If I was the Titans head coach going into next season, here's what my staff would look like. I would definitely have to hire a veteran defense coordinator, and that person would have to be Jim Schwartz.
And he's on staff.
I would keep Jim Schwartz around because him as a defense coordinator, he knows how to get after quarterbacks.
And he may not be quick to want to leave.
And just look at his stops. Philadelphia won a Super Bowl, but they know how to get after the quarterback. I would definitely keep Coach O'Hara around. Your quarterback's coach. Look at how good these quarterbacks have been under Pat O'Hara. Ryan's made questionable throws. But the first big move I'd make, that offensive line coach would not be there under me if I was there.
I can see Keith Carter and the special team coach Craig Ackerman gone. And
actually, I would keep Ackerman.
Why would you do that?
Look at what he's done with his special teams. Before he got here, we looked atrocious.
And in a way, we still kind of do. We have the kicking problem. Although Bullock did miss the kick.
But Randy wouldn't be there under me.
Right.
I would probably go Shudak or bring in Blankenship, as we were talking about yesterday.
And we were talking about that. And Brandon, you're right. These are some of the mistakes that were made. The offensive line has not been the same since Jack Conklin's gone. Has not been the same. Now, me and Brandon was talking about this at the watch party. Excuse me. Corey Davis, I was kind of okay with letting go. I mean, just not enough production. Jonnu was a big mistake. They should have kept him.
Because since Jonnu, we've not had a true number 1 tight end until Austin Hooper.
And
Austin Hooper.
I kind of hate they let Jayon go, but Jayon couldn't stay healthy.
And of course, look, Evans, he's had 31 tackles in 2 games.
Yeah.
That's the production we're missing at inside linebacker. Cunningham has looked slow. Cunningham is not looking like Cunningham.
Yep. And AJ wanted to be paid. And let's quickly end this on AJ. This is my thoughts on that. Yeah, and y'all have heard me say this. Traded AJ was the biggest mistake they ever made. They should have paid him. And a lot of people are talking about, well, he didn't want to be here. He didn't want to be here. That's a bunch of bull crap. He did want to be there, but the Titans lowballed him. They tried to offer him $16 million and incentives to maybe get up to 20. And I had TD on the show. We were talking about wide receivers before the draft. And I asked TD, I put the suggestion out. I said 5 years, about 110 million. That's about 23 million a year. And I asked him, I said, is that a fair deal? And TD even said to himself, he's like, I think that's a pretty fair deal. But I also prefaced it and said, the most important thing, and he does say this a lot, look at the guaranteed money,
Exactly.
which would have been about 60 to 70 million.
Which that's too high.
No, it's not. Not for AJ. You do everything you can to hold on to him. Sorry.
Hey, at least
I'll die on the hill for that.
at least it's not Deshaun Watson.
Right.
100% guaranteed.
Yep.
And he's out for pretty much the whole year.
11 games, yeah.
And of course, Lamar, he's won a big contract, 100% guaranteed.
That's it.
Like I think Baltimore offered him like a $250 something million contract.
And Lamar turned it down.
That's going to be the biggest mistake of his life. Because he will not
he can get more.
He won't find another offer like that.
I can hear you on that. Derek Conklin, mainly was because he did have some injury issues.
But he was a solid right tackle.
He was very solid.
Like, I mean, you never
punts do look bad for Ackerman, and Kyle Phillips has muffed 2 punts in 2 weeks. So I'm trying to get to the comment because I know there's a lot of comments here. Brandon said never liked Cunningham.
But there was one
play calling. That's the question. What do we think is wrong besides the play calling, which is pretty obvious?
And the one thing that I find wrong with this offense, and Vrabel said it today, execution. You have to execute everything you do.
Right.
And offensively, we're not executing.
I agree. And running football team, every team knows what we are, knows how to stop. D09 is right. Jacqueline says, let's see if AJ will be missing any games with the Eagles as he did with us. Now, that is a good point. That's going to really determine some things.
I'm going to say, I'm going to make another hot take. By week 8, AJ's going to be on IR.
If Vrabel loyal to his friend won't make any changes. True.
That's going to be the downfall of Vrabel right there.
I agree. Don't bring up the tight end sweep. Cruel punishment.
Oh.
And then Jacqueline says, I hope Phillips' confidence is not broken. I really feel like he's going to be a great player for. And I do too. I think as a slot receiver, I think he can be very good. Maybe just not as a punt returner. But that's the thing. There's a lot wrong with this team besides the play calling and besides, Downing and Vrabel's ego. There are a lot of injuries. We talked about the offensive line. They really don't use the receivers. Robert Woods is not really getting a lot of targets. They start with Burks early, don't go to him later. I haven't even seen much of Chig on the field. They refuse to go to Austin Hooper.
And I've said this, I think, I'm not sure if it's in your comments. For some reason, Mike Vrabel and this offensive coaching staff is highly infatuated with Jeff Swain.
Yes. I mentioned that, I believe, after the first game. They are in love with Jeff Swain, and I have no idea why.
I'm just trying to look this up about how many times they went to Jeff Swain in 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
So against the Giants,
he had like 5 targets.
He had 3 catches, 19 yards. I think it was on 5 targets. And then let's go to Monday night, which was a crapshoot big time.
Yep.
And he didn't have any receptions Monday night.
And here's the thing: the reason why they love Jeff Wade, because like Vrabel always does, he loves good blockers. Only problem is to reset it too. He didn't do so well blocking in the last game.
Nope.
Did not do too well. So there's a lot wrong. Zach Cunningham not doing too well as well. There is a lot that has to change with the injuries everywhere. So, I mean,
Damon Beverly said it best. They need to ditch the pitch play.
yes, ditch the pitch, ditch the pitch, ditch the pitch.
So when I shared this show out, when I shared this show out last night, I tagged Todd Downing in this.
Yeah.
When I shared this show out.
So we're really not going to go into the star of the week or the dunce of the day, because really there is no star. Everybody was a dunce. So we're going to skip that right there. But we're going to get into this Raiders game. And, of course, all of y'all pick my brain. Put your questions out to everybody. And I appreciate everybody being in here in this meeting. I'm showing y'all comments out because, believe me when I tell you, Brandon says we can still win the division. Only team that has won is Jacksonville. Can 8-9 win the division? At this rate, right now, could happen.
I'm gonna say this. I think the AFC South will be the worst division in the NFL this year.
Agreed. We're not looking too hot. Everybody sucks.
I'm gonna say this. The division could probably be won with 6 or 7 wins.
Yep. Could be a losing record and get in.
And hypothetically, how funny would it be if the Titans won the division at 5-12?
Right.
Or 6-11.
Yeah. And Ty Fox, here's the thing with the Rams philosophy. Yes, they spend a whole lot of money, don't know how they're doing it with very little on the cap, but they have a rich owner. They have a rich owner who could just shell out the cash.
Yep.
He can shell out
100%.
the cash. Stan Kroenke has billions of dollars.
And
not
he's
just
actually
millions, billions of dollars. He built SoFi Stadium single-handedly. Did not have to ask the city for a dime.
And that's why I wish our owner had deep pockets.
And I know Amy is trying off of the oil money, but she ain't got nowhere near that kind of money.
That Stan Kroenke does.
Exactly. Stan Kroenke, worth $12.9 billion.
So he's worth more than Jerry Jones.
Well, Jerry Jones is worth about $16 billion.
So they're right there together.
Yeah. They're right there together. And I mean, look at this. The whole Kroenke family is just dripping in money. His own wife, Ann Walton Kroenke, is worth $8 billion. And she's the heir to the Walmart fortune. She's an heiress to the Walmart fortune. So her and Stan combined are worth almost $25 billion. They swimming in money. Excuse me. But here's the thing, and we're going to get into this Raiders game, because if any team can do it, Vrabel's team can. Titan Rossi says, like you said, CJ2K said we might have the worst division than them Eagles a couple of years ago. And that is true.
Yep.
If we win the next 2 games, we're back in this thing. Why do we want to get bald and bearded? I'm not sure what you're asking right there. Let's see. Ms. Mims says, if Coach Vrabel has won a Super Bowl with the Pats and now a head coach for the Titans, why couldn't he take this team to the Super Bowl 3 times in a row? Because there's different personnel. He did that as a player. He was a player taking them to the Super Bowl. He obviously didn't have the perfect defense in Houston when he was there. Paulie D, I see you in here.
And I'm going to mention this about Miss Mims, the comment she just had, that you just had up.
Vrabel, it's the Pitts chant.
Vrabel, as we were saying earlier, he's got too big of an ego.
Yeah.
His ego is what's keeping the Titans from.
I agree. And I said that before too. Vrabel's arrogance could destroy this football team. And we're starting to see a little bit of the cracks.
And it's as you said, slowly happening, and you're seeing those cracks come through.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. I think we all still feel that Bengals lost still. Some people say get over it. I don't know.
How about no?
It's still not over. I think if our offensive line does good, we'll be fine against the Raiders. And you know what? On that note, let's get into the Raiders. And we hope that Fulton does play. He did practice limited. The Raiders, I was watching them against the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals came back and won. The Raiders offensively have weapons. They got a good running back in Josh Jacobs. They got Darren Waller, who is one of the best tight ends in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They got Mac Hollins, who they started to use from North Carolina, who has come out pretty good. Hunter Renfrow, who we all seen him torch Alabama in the past. And they got somebody else on offense. I can't put my finger on it. I know his name. He was wearing green and yellow before. What was his name? I forgot that guy's name. He's supposed to be really good. Devontae Adams. How could I forget that? So this defense has their work cut out for them yet again. They got weapons to cover. And on the other side of the ball, you know, you got Jonathan Abram, who's a decent safety. But their main juice on their defense
is up front.
Because me and Lee was talking about this. Look at what they have up front. Now, the defensive tackles, I really don't know much about them, but their power comes from their edge. Even though Cleveland Farrell isn't playing much, and honestly, I would call the Raiders about him. We could use some edge help.
And then
you got on one side, who do we have, Lee?
Chandler Jones.
And what did he do last year to the Titans?
He murdered Taylor Lewan.
He most certainly did.
He left Taylor Lewan in the mud.
5 sacks in one game.
And then across from him on the other side, Mad Max Crosby.
Mad Max from Beyond the Thunderdome. And I will tell everybody right now, I love my type, but I am a huge Mad Max fan. I am a huge fan of Max Crosby.
And
that dude has a motor that does not stop.
And I mentioned this to you yesterday. If and when his contract comes up, which he just, as you said yesterday, re-signed a 4-year deal with the Raiders. How funny would it be if he ended up in Nashville?
That would be cool, but yeah,
It
he
would,
just resigned, so he ain't going anywhere anytime soon. And trust me, I wouldn't want to trade him either. So for our offensive line, good luck blocking those two. See, Zarice says Titans with adequate play calling is better than Las Vegas.
yes.
Problem is they got Josh McDaniels as head coach. He's known to be a decent offensive play caller, but sometimes he does get in his own way. Jack says, how long is Elijah Molden out? He's at least out the next 2 games. He's still on the
So
short-term IR.
he
No,
could come back.
PUP.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's still
So
out the next 2 games.
he could come back against the Washington Commanders.
Right. Let's see. Remember, Vrabel learned from Belichick. He's loyal to his people. They can leave and come back. Vrabel will not get rid of who he brought in. That's the problem.
So I've got some of their defensive players right here, outside of Chandler Jones and Max Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
Nate Hobbs at corner, who I've never heard that name before.
Yeah.
They have Cleveland Farrell, who you had mentioned out of Clemson.
Yep. And
Tayshawn Bowers, who played for Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. And
Jordan
also,
Jenkins.
you got Trevor Morey, the safety out of TCU, but he is questionable right now.
Oh, and not to mention, at linebacker, Denzel Perryman.
And of course, formerly Jayon Brown.
Yes.
Fulton better be on Adams or we're in trouble for the 3rd week. Hope he gets healthy fast. Well, we're going to find out.
And
Hunter,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Also at safety, they have Deron Harmon, former New England Patriot. Deron Harmon.
Yeah, they definitely got some depth.
Matthew Butler at defensive tackle, who played at the University of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. And so I really think the Titans do have some chances to possibly make some noise here. Although Hunter Renfrow in the slot could be very dangerous. And
exactly.
You got Darren Waller, like I said, who's very good. So, I mean, CJ, you are not wrong on that. Ola Struck is in here.
What I would do, I would not run nickel. I would actually run a dime defense. Put 6 DBs out there.
You might have to in this situation.
Because
but then that could make a suspect to the run. But I'll take my chances. Brandon says, Raiders don't have corners. Can we make this a shootout? This is the game to unleash a passing game. I would say that if the offensive coordinator was anybody other than Downing. If it was anybody other than Downing, I would say yes. But Todd Drowning could cost us. I'm like, Downing just texted me and asked, what is adequate play calling? Oh, no. My God, I got to highlight that one. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. That is the comment of the night. Hilliard was limited, so we'll definitely have to see if he could do anything. Here's the injury report. You know, you have Phillips, Joe Jones, Dontrell Hilliard, Christian Fulton, Traylon Burks, and Danico Autry were limited, and Ola Adaney limited as well. Taylor Wan, Jamarco Jones, Bud Dupree, and Ugo Amadi did not practice today, and they were in the bubble, so they did a walkthrough.
And of course, Amadi is the product of Overton High School.
Yes, a local kid.
Just like Theo Jackson.
Who right now I believe is not on a team right now.
I think he's practice squad.
Yeah, he might be. But again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. We got 50 in here. Definitely. So everybody keep watching, everybody keep liking and commenting. We're gonna do everything. We're gonna get to everybody. Yes, they do have Jay on. So I have my 4 points to victory, which really I have 2 more extra points as well. So we're gonna have in the blue enforcer 4 points to victory. What can the Titans do to win this game and get back in the hunt, get back on the saddle, get things right? Number one, stop with the missed tackles. Wrap up and tackle. First 2 games, you have had some struggles wrapping up and tackling. Not good for anybody. You have got to wrap up. Number 2, limit the big plays.
Yep.
That's all we gave up all night against the Bills were big plays. You got to limit that.
Who was the corner? Avery and Jackson combined gave up 3 touchdowns alone to Stephon Diggs.
Well, 2 of them, definitely. Caleb Farley got lost on the other one.
Well, still, the secondary needs to wake up.
Absolutely. I definitely do agree with that.
Because if they don't, we will have another repeat on Monday night.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And Titan Fox says, Cunningham, Long, he's talking to you. Yes, I am. I'm really talking to the whole defense in particular.
Even Big Jeff.
Even Big Jeff.
Big Jeff.
Now, to the offensive side, number 3, make some adjustments after the first drive. First drive usually looks pretty good.
Yes.
After that, it seems like he has no idea what to do. Downing doesn't. You got to be able to make some adjustments and sustain these other drives that you have.
Downing looks like a deer in the headlights.
Exactly. Number 4.
He looks lost.
Very. And number 4, and this is a very important one. Stop with the dumb penalties. Penalties kill drives.
Ben Jones, Aaron Brewer, he's talking to you.
Exactly. Because Ben Jones killed a very good drive that was promising. Got, I believe it was like a 2nd and 15, had a good cross to Robert Woods for 17, but got called back for illegal hands to the face.
Which was that face mask.
And those type of things kill drives. And I believe you had the sack on that first down.
Yes.
You make up for it with that play and then have the penalty, and it's a snowball effect.
And Derek Roberts said something funny. Can we teach Vrabel how to use timeouts?
That would be a good idea.
And of course, I stole Titans Fox's line. I'm sorry I did that. I was thinking that when he said, stop with the dumb penalties.
Exactly. Tavon said you stole his line. Ah. So, I mean, you got to stop with the penalties. And a couple of extra points. Yes, we got to try to get the run game going because I think against this Raider defense, you could run the football. And also, Rocky Gitt mentioned it. No turnovers.
Play if you can play as clean of a game as you can, do it.
Show some fight.
Exactly.
In this game. Show some fight in this game. And that's the thing that they need to do. You're in front of the home crowd. Show some fight. And Dion said, disappointed in Long. I'm disappointed in Long and Cunningham.
And Cunningham, he was supposed to be one of the best players coming in here.
Yep.
but he's looked like his rookie. He looks like a rookie out there.
He does.
He looks lost.
And need to field punts. Yes. No
And
more muff punts.
and when you're forced to punt, flip the field position. Make them start from inside their own 10.
And that's where Ryan Stonehouse can come in. But the coverage has got to get down there. Because if they don't and that hits the coverage, it goes into the end zone. Because we know he has a boomer of a leg.
Yes.
So, Ty Fox saying it. Like and subscribe, y'all. Go right ahead. It was definitely embarrassing to watch. But those are some things that can be done that the Titans can get this win. Lee, do you have any other other point you could add?
Well, for me, the big one is who was this said it? It was eliminate turnovers. You have to eliminate turnovers.
No turnovers.
Play a clean game, and defensively, if you can get your hand on the ball, do it. Secondary, if you can make an interception, do it.
Right.
And if you're rushing and you can get your hand on the quarterback, do it.
Exactly.
And I've said this, and I'm going to say it again. Everybody on this team, yes, even Todd Downing, do your job.
100%. Do
And
your job.
if you go back and listen to what Bill Belichick preached that whole Super Bowl run, when I think it was the year they played Atlanta, he preached the whole play, your job.
Exactly. And that's what's going to be the key. So now, with all of that, and of course, you got to try to limit Devontae Adams. You got to limit Josh Jacobs in the run game. You got to do something.
And limiting Josh Jacobs is where Jeff and that interior defensive line is will come into hand.
I agree. And so now that leads me to the moment of truth. Who wins this game? Jeff, I'm going to let you go first. And guys, y'all comment as well. I think we've had a pretty good meeting. I think a lot of frustrations and a lot of concerns have been put out. Might have to make this a thing.
Titans fans, don't hate me for this. I've picked the Titans to win the first 2 weeks. They've lost. I'm going against the Titans on this one.
I can understand.
I can
understand.
I picked the Titans to beat the Bills 33-30. They got blown out. I picked the Titans to beat the Giants 35-7. They got beat. So I'm taking the Las Vegas Raiders on this one. 28-24.
Okay. I could definitely see that. And I've had a hard time with this. I've had a very, very hard time with this because I did not know which way I was going to go. I mean, my faith in the Titans is extremely shaken. And sometimes you really should go with your head than with your heart. In my head, something tells me the Raiders are going to win this game. But something just tells me that maybe I need to have a little bit of faith. Maybe this loss wakes them up a bit. And as not confident as I am in this, I'm going to go with my heart and with my gut. I'm going to say the Titans squeaked this one out 30-27. But I'm not very confident in this pick. I'm really not. This is going to be a dogfight. Two desperate 0-2 teams coming in here. And, we see some others. CJ says, as much as I'm a fan, got to keep it real, we're going to lose. Titans have showed me nothing, and the Raiders have way more talent. And I agree with that. They do.
Go look at what Titan Fox said.
Yeah. Metal Madness. Raiders going to win. Titans just aren't good enough to hang. Sorry, the offense is garbage, and the defensive, the D leg is way shakier. The defense is way shakier in the secondary. And I agree. And, I mean, we got injuries. Dion says we're going to fall. And I think Paulie D says I cannot pick against the Titans. I get it. Titan Fox says we can win, but it'll take a lot of work and a lot of duct tape over Downey's mouth. Amy's going with the Titans. Let's see. Get into an offensive flow. Get the offensive sync. Big Jeff got to be like Aaron Donald. I agree. I know Miss Mims does not like going against the Titans, but we got to keep it real. Again, I am picking the Titans to win, but I am not 100% confident. Honestly, I'm not even 50% confident in this pick. I'm about maybe 30% that the Titans could pull this off. And I'm just being honest, y'all. I'm sorry. We're going to keep it real. That's what this meeting is about. I think the Titans can win, but Todd Downing could easily mess this up and could have us getting embarrassed at home again. And the Boo Birds could be coming out. I already got Raider fans talking crap to me in my own family.
Oh, no.
So I have to deal with that. Shane says Titans 24, Raiders 20. That could be good. Bibb says I'm on lockdown. Taking a break because, she don't want to end up in the hospital. I get it. I smell a 5-sack game for this Titan defense. Henry will have his first 100-yard game. We going to see. Isaiah says, my faith is at an all-time low, but I have a tiny bit of faith. At this point, we hope it's just an entertaining game, close game. Yeah, I don't know if we can keep up in a shootout. That's true. So that's going to pretty much about do it. I mean, we've had a lot of good discussion here in this meeting. And so I want y'all to let me know, did we have a good meeting tonight? I think we had a pretty productive meeting. I think we got a lot of things off our chest. I think we got a lot of things aired out. Now it's up to the Titans to figure out a way to fix it. So, yeah, Bald and Bearded might be right. They could start flexing us out of those primetime games if we don't get it together. So I definitely agree. So I want y'all to give me a comment. What did y'all think of tonight's meeting? Tonight's fans-only meeting. Do we call it a success? Do I think we aired out our grievances? We got a lot. Let's see. David says 22-17 Titans. Titans got to show if they can score more than 20. Amy says yes. Titan 5 says to both of us, thank you both for a great show. You guys are awesome. And the fan interaction means the world to us after another tough loss. I agree. Brandon said 24-21. Rocky says, great show as always. I put the angry emoji for but she still love you, man. She still love you. We ride or die for the Titan, but we got to keep it real. Ms. Ben says, it was an awesome meeting, great meeting. Paulie D says Raiders 28, Titans 28 and a half. See, Typhon said meeting was positive despite tough time. We're only 2 down. So let's effing go. Love it. Lee, as we get out of here tonight, where can everybody find you?
Yeah. You can, of course, Twitter at podcast615, Instagram at the_615 podcast. And of course, there is TikTok also, where I do live streams during the live shows. And that is at Lee Hillis on TikTok. Spotify, you can search the 615, or you can search Lee Hillis on Spotify. And of course, there is a group or a fan page on Facebook, the 615 podcast.
All right. There it is. Don't get to tell Key I drowned in some alcohol, but I couldn't pass. Brandon, I understand. I understand, my brother. Need more meetings like this. I'm riding with my boys, Herman Burns. I have the confidence to get it turned around. Titans over Raiders 20-17. Tighten up, we got this. So I think everybody said it's a pretty positive meeting. And I thank you, Lee, for coming on to this show tonight and everything. And also remember, y'all, going next week, in about 2 weeks, we're gonna have ladies' night, and we're gonna have some breast cancer. We're gonna have some cancer survivors on the show who are gonna be discussing their journey, discussing their road to recovery and their road to remission. And so I definitely have a very good friend of mine. Her name is Miss Kelly Wade Christian, who is one of my close friends from high school. She is a breast cancer survivor. Even though she is a Packers fan, she is a friend of the show. So she will be coming on to talk about her journey as far as to remission. And I am working on possibly getting a pretty big special guest. I'm going to see if I can pull off the impossible. I'm going to try my best to do that. So,
and of course, there's a lot of big things coming on my end.
Yes, it is.
We're working on, maybe within the next couple of weeks, locking down Caroline Fenton from 102.5 The Game.
Yeah, she's a friend of the show.
Of course, Chris Harris from WSMV Channel 4 there in Nashville will be on November 16th. And that is an afternoon show at 12 noon, 11 a.m. Central on November 16th. And then for the 2-year anniversary of the 615, we are doing 4 shows in 1 week. Not all the details are ironed out yet, but December 6th is Ladies' Night.
All right.
And of course, Caroline Fenton is already signed on for that show. So, of course, everybody, as I said, the socials, just keep an eye out for more updates on those shows as they come, and for any show that comes out later on throughout the year.
All right. And I'm going to go ahead and put this out. I am trying to pull off the dream of a lifetime. I am trying to see if I could get the one and only Miss Robin Roberts from Good Morning America. I'm going to try to see if I can pull off this miracle. I am tweeting her right now. I'm going to try to see if she'll get to me and see if something could work out. So I'm trying to see if I can pull a miracle here, but we're definitely going to be celebrating cancer survivors for Ladies' Night, and we're going to be talking about that a lot that month. So, Lee, You the man. I thank you. I'm glad everybody thought this was a success.
And of course, King Isaac actually made a very good point.
Yes. Why Ty A got his kicked out of the building. Agreed. And he said, and credit to Paulie D, he said, it's very hard to do a show where your team is 0-2, but you knocked it out of the park. Well, I appreciate that. But everybody, and I do not know who the ref is for Sunday's game. I don't think they've announced that yet.
They'll probably announce it probably either tomorrow or Friday.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So everybody, again, make sure y'all share this show out again. This will also be on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Probably tonight or by the very latest tomorrow morning.
Chris Frazier,
if you missed any parts.
Chris Frazier just said they have.
They released the referee.
Yeah, but I haven't seen anything.
Yeah. So, everybody, I think that's going to just about do it. I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Lee for coming on the show. Thank y'all for tuning in to TNT tonight. Thank y'all for attending this meeting.
I've got the head referee is Brad Rogers.
Brad Rogers, so no booger. That's a good thing.
Jerome,
and Chris Frazier just added out too.
The booger, okay, got the Bengals and Jets.
Oh wow, the Bengals are screwed.
And for Sunday Night Football is Sean Hockley. So yeah, Titans got Brad Rogers for week 3.
Right. So thank God we don't have booger. And yes, Titan Files, we try to keep it as professional as possible, although it can get a little raw from time to time. So everybody, thank y'all for tuning into the show. Thank y'all for sticking with us. We've had a lot of interaction. I've had fun with all of y'all. Everybody have a good night. And let's just, if nothing else, we tighten up because that's all we know how to do. Good night, y'all.